Hello or hello again, depending on if you've seen my original video or not. If you haven't, that video is pre-surgery and I talked about how I prepared. If you haven't seen it and you're interested, I'll link it here and down below. The things that I talked about in that video, I'm going to be referencing in this one instead of getting all repetitive and showing you guys all the same stuff all over again. I'm now 1 week post-op, which I can barely believe. It's been a complete blur and I'm just ready to give you an update. To give you an idea of what I'm going to cover in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the day of surgery and then how pain has been since then. I'll show you my taped incisions, which will also give you an idea about bruising and swelling. I'm very thankful for all the things that I did to prepare, but there are a couple things that I'll touch on a little bit more specifically. And then lastly, I'll show you a side-by-side pre and post-surgery in the same bra. So I don't have a ton to say about the day of surgery because as you'll find out, I don't remember a lot about that day. I had to be up at 4 a.m. to be at the hospital at 6 a.m. for surgery to start at 7:30. I got to the hospital about 10 minutes early. Side note, I feel like this is obvious, but I'll mention it anyways. You have to have somebody drive you there and back, and that person is supposed to stay there the whole time, like throughout the whole surgery. I got there about 10 minutes early and just hung out in the waiting room. They called me back right at 6 o'clock to the pre-op area, which is basically just a big room with different sections that can be walled off by curtains. And then in each section, there's like all these different nurses stations, as well as a recliner style gurney, which I think is what they're called, but I'm not entirely sure. The same nurse that came and got me from the waiting room then took me to my area in the pre-op bay of all those different sections. And on the gurney recliner thing, there was a stack of stuff that she handed to me. It included a hairnet, a hospital gown, and hospital socks. So I went to the bathroom, I took off all my stuff, put on all of that, and then as soon as I opened the door, she was standing there with one of those pee sample containers, and obviously I knew what to do, so I just took care of business, opened the door, handed it back, and then as I walked back to that same little area I had been in before, I don't know what I was expecting. I guess, you don't specifically know what to expect until it's happening, but I don't know. And I think my nerves were also setting in. There were 3 other nurses waiting there for me, and I was like trying to make jokes about how like they didn't all need to be there for me and whatever. They took my vitals and set up an IV. The IV part was disappointing to me because it has to go in your hand, and those are the most uncomfortable things, and I swear that was probably the worst thing about the entire day. Granted, the rest of it did end up being a blur, but I don't like IVs in my hand. So that's, vitals, IV, and then they also put these compression sock things on that are meant to I guess they warm up during surgery, and then however the compression works, it just helps to keep your circulation consistent. After that first wave of stuff was done, they told me to just hang out and that different people would be passing through for the next half an hour until it was time for surgery, including the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, and the OR nurse and stuff, just all taking care of their different little bits. And the whole time I was still pretty chill, just hanging out and waiting, and then all of a sudden, probably 10 or 15 minutes before surgery was supposed to start, they all came back at once. The original nurses that had helped, all the people I've already mentioned, but they all came back all at once, and that's when my final nerves set in, and I just kind of, that it hits you that okay, it's actually about to happen, oh my God. And I think the anesthesiologist, obviously they're paying attention, they're about to perform a surgery, but he must have seen my demeanor change because he just looked at me and he was like, "How are you doing?" And I said I was nervous, and he held up 2 syringes. One was orange, one was blue. Not that that's important. And he was like, this one is to put you under, but this one would just make you calm and happy. And he was like, "You don't have to have it, but if you want it, I can give it to you." And I was just like, "Yes, please give it to me." So he gave me that, and that must have been right before we were heading to the operating room, because probably 10 seconds after he gave me whatever was in that syringe, which I don't even know what it was, I was calm and happy, not a care in the world. And I kind of remember the like hallway ride, because they wheel you there. I kind of remember that. And then I have a very faint memory of like the doors opening up to this like big operating room with like, you know, everybody getting their stuff ready, and there was a lot happening. I remember that. And then I guess like they must have given me the anesthesia, because I don't remember anything after that until waking up and finding out that it was done. So when I woke up from surgery, I think I started by trying to ask if it was done, like if it had already happened, but my throat and everything was just so dry and scratchy that I was probably croaking more so than talking. And so the nurse, obviously that got her attention, and she turned around, she already had it ready to go, but she handed me ice chips. So that's the first thing I was given. And she told me like, don't try to talk, just have some ice chips and chill. And I think I kept talking, trying to ask questions. I don't know, again, like it is honestly a blur, but I had ice chips, I had some water, I think they gave me some juice. And I remember I kept trying to like look under the blanket to see the situation, and the nurse, just her name was Jackie, and she kept laughing at me, and she was like, honey, just leave it alone, just like calm down, put it down. After a while, I swear, like it's such a fuzzy memory. Even like the next day, I could barely remember the day of. They asked me if I had any nausea, and I didn't. I remember that. And then they asked about pain, but coming out of surgery, they had already like given me some pain medication. So when I woke up, I wasn't in pain really, which is fortunate for me. I'm very grateful. Before they let you go home, they have to make sure that you can like, you know, get up, walk around, not get sick, go to the bathroom, a few other things. But yeah, so that's that. And then we left, and the car ride home, which was one of the things I was scared for, turned out to not be an issue at all. I was in next to no pain, and I did have that pillow to put in between myself and the seatbelt, and that was probably good to have there, but I was just like, I don't even really remember. I think I was probably kind of in and out of it, napping a little bit and awake for some. The car ride was about an hour long, and I really, nothing significant. I wasn't in enough pain to remember it. So that's about all I have to say for the actual like day of surgery. As for pain since then, overall, it's honestly been like less painful than I thought it would be. I thought I was going to be in a lot of pain and just miserable basically, and I have been in pain, and I have gone through most of the pain reliever that I was given, but I think yesterday or the day before, 2 days ago, was my first day not taking pain reliever during the day, and I was fine. Yes, dealing with soreness and stuff, but it's manageable. The other thing about this last week is that the first few days I slept so much that that's part of the reason why it's such a blur. You kind of are in this routine of sleeping, hydrating, taking your meds, maybe eating a little bit, and then next thing you know it's like 4 days later, and yeah, it's just a blur. As I'm mentioning sleep though, I will say the bed rest system that I talked about in the first video has been awesome, and I 100% recommend it. It has been like, I don't know, the key to me being able to get sleep on my back and like keeping me in that fixed position, not rolling over in the middle of the night and all of that. Now, for the part that I know you're all curious about, just because I was before, the incisions. I feel like I've already said this, but again, I just want to say that I feel really fortunate. This isn't something that I talked about with my surgeon beforehand, because I just didn't know that it was an option. Maybe it's not, and I just got lucky with like where my breast tissue was and the fact that I wasn't given drains. But my incisions don't go very far to the side or into the center. They're like very much so in places that are going to be really easy to hide, which you will see, or maybe you're seeing right now. As you're looking at the incisions, you can see some of the bruising and swelling that I have currently. I think that footage I actually took yesterday, so it's basically current. The bruising didn't show up until I think around day 4, and since then it's just been kind of dissipating, spreading out. There are a couple patches that are darker and whatever. Oh, and then there's like some kind of like scab type spots, and from everything I've like read and seen from other people, I think that might just be where I have like either like staples or stitches or something that are kind of like poking through a little bit. My post-op appointment is on Friday, so I'll be able to like ask and find out more. I know I had swelling from the beginning, but the swelling got worse, I noticed, when probably around day 4 when I started being up and around a little bit more. So, you know, with activity comes more swelling, and that's something that you do have to be careful of, but it's also good to like get up and around and get moving and not just be a complete potato. Also, to do with the incisions, I wasn't given drains, so that's why I'm not talking about it. Like, as far as I know, the surgeons make that decision while they're actually operating. All I know is I woke up and I didn't have them. A bonus of all of that though is that my mobility hasn't been as limited as I think it is for a lot of people, especially with drains. So because I don't have drains and because my incisions don't go super far to my sides or anything, my mobility wasn't really super limited from the start, and I'm already able to, you know, wear pullovers instead of the zip ups that I wore for the first like 5 or 6 days, and like I can do whatever, move around. I would say probably twisting is like borderline, like I can start to feel just the tiniest bit of tension on my incisions, but the thing that's limited the most is still my sleeping, because you have to continue sleeping on your back. Last night I attempted to kind of lay on my side just a little bit to see like how tender it was, and it is still like, it's too uncomfortable to sleep like that. Yeah, so my mobility is already pretty close to normal, I would say. I am still limited in the things that I can do as far as like working out is concerned, or going into swimming pools, aka not going into swimming pools or hot tubs, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I am already back to complete normal activity, keeping in mind I don't want to be too active and risk extra swelling and bruising. I guess this is kind of part of the same subject, but my energy levels are also creeping back up. I would say that I'm at probably like 80% of my normal energy, and it's kind of been a steady increase since, I guess, since surgery, because I mean I slept the first couple of days, and then day 4 I remember was the first day that I thought I was feeling back to myself, but as soon as I got up and started moving around, I got tired real fast. And then the same goes for the following days. It was just I was able to do a little bit more before I got tired, and today I've had a pretty full day and I actually still feel really good. So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there were a couple things that I wanted to touch on more specifically from my original video, and one of those things are the bras that I had bought to wear while washing the surgical bra they gave me. And I just want to show you the comparison between the surgical bra I was sent home with and the post-op bras that I bought. The surgical bra I was sent home with ends much lower and away from the incisions, and the surgical or the post-op bras that I bought end really close to the incision site, and that ends up being really uncomfortable, or not really uncomfortable, just not as comfortable as the surgical bra that they sent me home in is. So they serve their purpose for me to be able to take care of washing that original bra. But beyond that, like, I wouldn't recommend them for like this soon after surgery. They're just not comfortable. Definitely recommend finding something that hits lower on your like rib cage. All right, so if you've made it this far, now last but not least, I'm gonna show you a side-by-side comparison of me before surgery and after surgery in the same bra to just illustrate that the difference that's already there. I am still swollen and holding out hope that I will go down at least another cup size as the swelling dissipates. But as for now, all I know is that the 34 Triple D bra is too big. The band size was already too big beforehand, but that's even more obvious now. And then the cup is also too big. So yeah, time will tell what size I actually end up, but for now, this is just kind of what I have to go off of. So until my next update, you can catch me on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any other questions.